Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. Returning today is the writer-artist of one of my favorite ongoing series, one that I finally got caught up on and reread. I've been all things Kaya for like the last 24 hours. Wes Craig and Sam, who's also a big Kaya fan, is joining us as well. Because, I, 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 I don't know if I've gotten a bigger response from Sam when I said, "Hey, I'm having so and so on. Do you want to join us?" I think you got a bigger response than Tom King did when he was doing Wonder Woman. And Sam is both a massive Tom King and a massive Wonder Woman fan. So, like,
Oh man, that'd be
you have
competition.
special status, Wes.
Right. Take
Because
that, Tom King.
I read Tom King and Wonder Woman for myself, and I read Kaya with my daughter. So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
very different, point of view and like perspective and like place in my heart that I put it.
yeah, for sure. I read Wonder Woman too. That's one of the ones that's on my pull list. I like that. I just find it kind of interesting to see where he goes. I really love that lasso of black lasso of lies that what's his name? I don't know. The secret ruler of the United States,
The
whatever.
the the
The
what'd
Sovereign.
you say, Sam?
Yeah.
Sovereign. Yeah, the Sovereign.
and yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just this cool. It's a cool. It's like, I don't know if she's ever had. She's got some good supervillains against her, but it's like nice to kind of add to the list of like maybe her rogues gallery isn't quite where it could be. So it's like it's nice to add another interesting character there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And I just love the fact that Tom has that superpower of let's take superheroes and have them do mundane things and or um as the recent issue with Caitlin Yarsky uh illustrating did. Okay, I'm gonna have her superpower things, but while she's having the morning after conversation with Steve Trevor.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, I haven't seen that one
It's,
yet. Nice. I
it's
haven't
like
checked that
Steve Trevor
out.
wakes up to an empty bed with a note and he doesn't believe it. And then he sees her on TV and then he gets called to go down and join. And then
Yeah.
they have this entire awkward conversation while she's beating up big, huge mice at the Capitol.
Okay. Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
But enough about Tom. Let's start with your Kickstarter so we don't forget. Because if we get into Kaya, we may fall into Kaya. Thunderhead, uh, I could definitely I could read the blurb, and it's pretty much what you put in your newsletter too. But give me a little bit more than superheroes on acid.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like the most concise version is like a fascination with the 1960s and hippie culture and all that stuff. And reading, I'm a fan of Ken Kesey, who's the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and it's like he helped create the environment that created the Grateful Dead, and him and his merry pranksters going in this hippie bus from like San Francisco to New York City. They were doing acid. They were helping, like they were making the first tie-dye shirts, kind of like helping create the whole thing that eventually became hippies and that movement in the 1960s. And a lot of that started from him, and a bunch of other people had LSD tested on them as part of like an experiment that was, this thing that some people, called MK Ultra, which is like a kind of a covert thing started by the CIA, uh, to test this drug out on people and see what kind of results they could get for it. Maybe they were looking for a truth serum, or not a truth serum, but like just testing these drugs out and seeing how they could use that in some of their more nefarious plots. And this idea came to me that it's like, what if just kind of like the 1960s Marvel stuff, gamma rays and cosmic rays and all these things give them their superpowers. What if this drug gave them kind of a universal consciousness as well, like the hippies dreamed of, as well as superpowers? So Thunderhead is kind of Captain Marvel, Shazam type of character. Uh, it's like he takes the acid and it's basically like saying Shazam, and it gives him superpowers. And yeah, this is the first issue that we have. I'm writing it and doing some of the flashback scenes and dream sequences, and Kevin Castanero is the artist, and it's on Kickstarter right now, issue number 1. It's going to be probably about a 6-issue series.
Yeah, it sounds great. Made me immediately think of Men Who Stare at Goats, which
Totally,
is
yeah, for sure. That was an influence. Just seeing how wild, like they're
yeah.
a weird contrast of the two conversations we've had so far. But some of the weird things that the CIA have gotten up to over the years is like some pretty wild stuff, especially 19. I'm not sure
I
what
mean,
all the 40s, 50s, 60s. It's pretty wild.
I mean, our pre-show conversation about Tom King just puts us right in the middle, though.
Yeah, this is hopefully
You hit him up at
far enough in the
cons to
past that we
go,
can kind
so
of, yeah.
I need to, could you nod your head if this is true?
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm on the right path, I'm on the right path, blink twice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's some crazy,
Um,
but yeah, it's just a fun comic, that people can
yeah.
enjoy. It's pretty tongue in cheek, and there's some serious moments that come, but the first issue works as just kind of almost like an episode of the Twilight Zone, where there's this guy that he's got Alzheimer's and he's remembering the past, but there's something going on in the background that he's trying to figure out, and it's kind of like, that's the issue unfolds, and that by the end of it, you're kind of given the big reveal of what this is all about. So yeah, on Kickstarter, check it out if you like that.
Also this week, because you're a glutton for pain,
Yes.
you started not only started a YouTube show, but are you seriously going daily with it?
I'll do it. I'll do that for now. It's like it seems possible. I recorded enough episodes like in advance that I'm like, okay, I
Okay.
think, and it's like, say, I'll come up with a subject and I'll just kind of break it down where it's like, okay, so can I break this subject down into, say, if I can break it down into 5 little pieces, they don't have to, they're not very long videos, they're not like hour-long videos or anything. They're just
No.
like 15 minutes or so, just
Looks like so
all in
far
my
your sweet spot is like 12 to 14.
Yeah, it's like it'll go however long it goes each episode. But yeah,
Right.
so far I've got enough banked where I'm like, I can do this for a little while. But the problem, of course, is that if you do it Monday to Friday, you quickly go down to 0 videos, and then you're like, well, what am I going to do now? So I'm not taking it too seriously. I do in my other room, this little office that I have here is where I do a lot of this kind of watercolor stuff on the Kaya pages. And I'm like, well, I'm here anyway, and I just turn the camera on, and as I'm doing my stuff, I'm like, I write
Well,
down
and I did.
things and just kind of see where it takes me.
Yeah, I only watched part of one because the newsletter came out as I was getting ready to have lunch before coming to talk to you. So like there wasn't time to squeeze in a video
Yeah,
to
sure,
come
sure.
talk to you too. But I did love the angle, and like I've talked to enough artists as they work on the podcast that in some ways I'm surprised that more comic artists don't do this. I mean, it's a way to reach an audience, teach about the medium, teach about your style, maybe wind up giving away like mild teasers in a way that,
Mhm.
comic fandoms like some comic fandom salivates over, all while like doing what you were doing anyway, just talking out
Yeah.
loud while you do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's just years and years of thinking about comic books, whether it be the art form or the comic shop, or like just like the graphic novel, like what's an advantage of doing the graphic novel or the digital or the print, or all these things that I think
Mhm.
don't really have a place to put them, except in the newsletter is a place to put them. But also that's kind of like that is time where it's like I need to not be doing other stuff. I need to be sitting at the computer writing this all out. Or
Well,
sometimes
and if you do it
I
this
can
way,
say
you've
I'm
got your
sitting here
bullet
drawing
points,
anyway, so I might as well just say it as I'm drawing.
and then you've got your bullet points for the next newsletter. You're
Yeah, they feed
multitasking.
into each other a little bit for sure, for sure. But yeah, it's just kind of like yeah, I think it's fun, and I think I've got enough topics that I can kind of I've written out a few weeks of lists and stuff. Now it's just a matter of right now I'm in the it's like when I'm in there, I noticed one of the episodes, it's like I'm about to start this page, but the first panel is very complicated. And I was like, I can't do that while I'm talking at the same time, like, or else I'll be making mistakes. I need kind of easier images to look at so that I can actually do both at the same time, but so far it's fun.
Though, I mean, I know from experience with my own handful of fans that some of them appreciate like the silence because you need it for a minute.
It's
So
true.
you might be surprised at how you can go, okay, hold on, guys, I need to finish this up.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
no,
right.
sure. It's true. It's true. I think of
Um,
other things where it's like, well, I'm trying to think of, what do people do while they're listening to this? Because I listen to a ton of them because I'm just sitting in my chair doing my comics. So I'm
mhm.
like, I'll throw on a podcast. I'll throw on like I'm on Ink Pulp this week with Sean
Mhm.
Crystal and Jim Mafood. I'll throw them on, whatever the case may
Right.
be. So it's like, and they're kind of doing the same thing where it's like they're drawing and talking at the same time. So with much higher production value, I might add. But um, so yeah, so it's just kind of thinking about that and seeing how people they can enjoy the audio part of it, or they can enjoy the visual part of it, or both, I guess, depending on what their
Right.
is and what they're doing during their day.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we got to turn to Kaya because Kaya is 28 issues in now. We talked to you right before the first issue.
Yeah.
So, um, I'm really happy that we've gotten this far, and it looks more and more like you're going to be able to take it as far as you want to take it. Um, because I know that that was a concern
Yeah.
before kicking off, as it is with any creator owned thing. It's like kind of jumping off and going, okay, please follow me. And
Yeah.
you, of course, were going from like teenagers killing each other and having sex to monsters and all ages stuff. So, not an automatic bring your readership with you.
No, it's true. I had other ideas that were closer to excuse me, closer to Deadly Class, and I'm like, maybe I'll get to those one day. But Kaya was the one that was just calling to me, almost because of that. It's like spending like 9 years on an ultra violent kind of adult thing set in a relatively realistic world of motorcycles and guns and cars and all this kind of these kinds of like modern buildings and stuff. And I was like, I want to do something all ages in a fantasy world. If there's buildings, they'll just be like crumbling towers and stuff like that. It's like just wanted to shift gears. But yeah, it wasn't, business wise, probably not the automatic like, oh, if you like Deadly Class, you'll like this. It's like that's not, I
Right.
couldn't say that. It's like if you
Right.
like Class, there's a good chance you won't like this actually. But if you like my
Well, and if you like Kaya, no, I'm not gonna go tell you to look up my other stuff unless, oh, your parents, they can go read my other stuff.
Yeah, that's a weird one too, for sure. Yeah, it's like, what did you do before that? And like, yeah, Deadly Class, but you're 10, so no, don't read that yet.
What was it about Kaya that you like that was the story that you had to tell?
I think it's weird because it was like it started off as a concept for this comic book that I pitched to Image just so long ago. Like it's like decades ago. I mean, like when I hadn't didn't done anything professionally, there was this comic that I put together called The Third Kingdom, and it was set in kind of a fantasy world, but like basically the more or less a similar world to what Kaya is based in. It's like it's so far in the future that it looks kind of like ancient times. Um, and there were three gods in there, and when I was a kid, I loved like Greek mythology and Norse mythology, along with like superheroes and all that stuff. So there was these three characters, and they were basically my versions of like Loki and Thor and Odin from Norse mythology. But like they weren't really like main characters. So it's like I made this comic, I printed it up, I pitched it to Image. It's like the writing wasn't really there yet. The art was okay for what I could do at the time. But they didn't go for it. It was like I think I was still in college. I wasn't ready for any of this stuff anyway. But then the world stayed with me. I thought it was a cool world, but it didn't have really like a good protagonist. And I feel like during those 9 years I was working on Deadly Class, I would go to the library or to the coffee shop, and I would just slowly kind of build up the idea for this world. Um, Originally Kaya was an adult. She's actually like it's weird. It's like a long time before Mad Max Fury Road or any of that stuff, but she was just basically like very much like a badass like Furiosa, where she's just like an adult with a robot arm. And the drawing of her, she has like long dreads, all the same stuff she has in her current form, but she's like an adult. And then I thought, well, what could make that a bit tougher? It's like she's raised as a hunter, but if I make her a kid, that just makes it that much more difficult for her to kind of just one more obstacle for her to overcome. She has all this knowledge of hunting, but she still is a kid, and so there's only so much she could have really learned in that time. So yeah, it's like slowly, bit by bit. I remember there was like, okay, well, what's the driving force of the plot? What are they going for? What's the MacGuffin, as they call it? And I was like, well, originally I think it was an object, and then I was like, well, what if the MacGuffin was like actually like a kid that everyone's kind of like hunting after? And I'm like, oh, what if he's Jin, what if it's Kaya's brother? And originally they were really good friends, and eventually I was kind of like, no, what if he's a brat and they don't like each other? Just building as many obstacles as I can for them to just making life hard for your characters. But yeah, over the course of Deadly Class, I was able to take my time and build, like the lizard riders, and I had their whole religion, and I built the whole map of the world and figured out, okay, well, this is the Watu that haven't even appeared yet. They're going to come at the very end of the story, but they're over here on this side of the map, and Kahaka and Kaya and Jin, their initial journey is like way over here. So, it was like it was a nice liberty to have Deadly Class as my main gig, while I was able to just kind of take my time and be like, when Deadly Class is over, this is for sure like what I want to do. And I wanted to do all ages comics because I feel like at the time there were less of them. And once in those 9 years, it's like once I came out, I was like, oh, it's nice. There's like way more young adult comics and kids comics than there was.
So you actually have a market.
Yeah. So that was nice. And yeah, it just jumped in there. And again, like it's one of those things most people have not. Yeah, we're at issue number yeah, it's like did issue number 28 just come out? But yeah,
Yes.
I'm working on number 30, so I'm all mixed up on the timeline of
issue 28 just came out.
Yeah, so it's like now
At least I hope so, because I read it this morning.
pretty,
It would be weird if it wasn't out. You didn't send me anything.
it's yeah, we're here. It's like we're like halfway through the story, basically. Like eight books is what I'm aiming for. And I think, yeah, when I started, it's like no one was doing like continuing series anymore because it wasn't really very viable. But I was like, well, I came up with this whole idea over the course of 9 years, and it is not a miniseries.
While I was doing a continuous series.
Yeah, yet another one. Yeah. And I was like, I just want to do it as soon as Deadly Class is over. I want to jump right into this. So yeah, it is what it is. It's not easy. There's definitely got to be you got to be pretty crafty to kind of keep it going.
I'm gonna ask a tangential question because you brought up like thoughts on the industry and thoughts on the business and putting stuff together for your YouTube channel to talk about. Something we're seeing more of, in fact, even Saga, which isn't all ages, has gotten these recently, is reprinting of
like the kind of compact editions,
the digest size editions that fit better in bookstores, next to Raina Telgemeier, next to Dave Pilkey, next to Mariko Tamaki, etc. Is that something that's been on your radar, something you thought about?
Yeah, that kind of is the ultimate plan in a way. A lot of people have asked me about hardcovers and stuff, but all these things
I mean, I'd love those too. Those are what I want personally.
Okay.
But in terms of just because we were talking that way, I suddenly went, the bookstore market and really not even the bookstore market, the department store market, the Targets, the Walmarts, the Myers of the world really love that smaller size.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's where like a massive, I mean, if you don't live in an urban area, it's probably where you get their Amazon. So it's like getting on their shelves can be a massive thing in terms of sales.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, that's definitely like, I mean, even right from the beginning, it's trying to figure out, like, will there be a big enough market to warrant like printing new copies of this and whatever. But my plan, do kind of like a one print of each volume, and then come back probably after all 8 are done, or maybe at the maybe around book number 7 or whatever, once the
Right. Somewhere in there.
have gone, and like make, yeah, like combine 2 books into one as a digest format where it would have a thicker spine. There'd be more story in each thing.
Right.
And even right from the beginning, I remember Tom Napolitano, the letterer, I was like, if you can make the lettering like a little bit bigger, because I do have it in my mind that one day I would like to maybe shrink this down to digest or manga or whatever, some other smaller format,
Okay.
but I still want it to be readable, like I don't want
Right.
people to hint at the text. So yeah, so it's always been in my mind. I've got the book covers in mind. I'm like they're right over there on my drawing desk. It's like I'm gonna get to
Well,
the
I love to find out that I'm not making stupid ideas.
no, for sure. It's something I like to
And
do. It's just financially, does it make
oh,
sense
absolutely.
to do a reprint or whatever? But I've
Right, right.
talked to Eric at Image about like, can we do this? It's obviously easier to make those decisions if you're a Saga, Walking Dead, or et
Right.
cetera. You're at
Right.
this top tier selling comic, you can make a few more, it allows you to make a few more moves. Whereas
Yeah.
if you're kind of
You can afford
well, you
you
got
can
to be a bit
afford to
more like,
swing and miss.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
I work at a really affluent public high school that thankfully spends most of their money trying new education strategies. And
Mhm.
one of the things that I will tell people in terms of how I don't really feel that hoity-toity and guilty about working at a school with all of these resources that other schools don't have, even though I wish that those other schools had them too, is
Yeah.
we have schools come in from all over the country to look at what we do and talk to us about what we do and whatnot. In other words, we figure it out and iron out bugs. And if it doesn't work, we spend the money even
Yeah.
though it doesn't work, so that those other schools have a model for what it can look like and don't have to take as big of a swing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
that's where Image getting into if Image actually manages to get into the Walmart Target market with digest size books that aren't you, it makes it easier for you because they'll have figured out what works, what doesn't, you know. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
That
that would be awesome.
you brought up the font size being a little bit about that. There's one other thing that, from just a technical side, that I always notice and love about Kaya, and now that I think about it, I wonder if it's part of that as well. You have borderless boxes.
Mhm.
Was that a decision for resizing, not to have that extra black that would be, or was it just strictly an aesthetic decision?
Yeah,
I
I
mean, it's a
think
great aesthetic decision, but
that one was an aesthetic. Just I like the look of it because it's like Deadly Class, same thing. There's like borderless. I think I just like it looks clean to me, and it's like, I mean,
yeah.
it helps probably a little bit in that. You look at young adult and you look at manga and stuff, and there's definitely like a simplicity to the page. They don't do North American comic book stuff where there's jamming it with like a million things
Right.
and panels. So it's like there's, yeah, whatever I can do to, it's like the opposite of what I was doing on Deadly Class, because I was like, Deadly Class is for comic heads that already know this stuff, and it's like I'm not trying to. So
Right.
I would do experiments with the page layouts and stuff that it's like it might be a turnoff if you're a first time reader, but that wasn't, I was just that I figured I'm going to do this for a long time. I got to keep myself entertained. So one of the things that I would do is just, yeah, try to play around with the panel layouts and stuff. But when it came to Kaya, I was like, I'm hoping this will be a comic that you can give to a new reader and they'll get it. So I have to make things a little bit more simple. And again, mentioning like Saga and Walking Dead, that's like, I think some of the strengths that they have is that they have just this very easy to understand. You can crack that book open as a new reader and like you get it. It's not overly
Well,
complicated.
I'm going to say, like Saga and Walking Dead, that's true until the page where it isn't, because the story needs it not to be. You've got
Yeah,
some really like fantastic page layouts that are way outside the box because that's what the story calls for this page.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'm thinking recently of the issue where they're going through the plan and you're almost walking through the map for
Oh
how to
yeah,
get
yeah. I can't help but do it sometimes. Yeah,
I think that
that's true.
the bringing that up is like such a great point because like as like I've been reading comic books since I was a kid. Like, so, going box from box, panel to panel, like that makes sense to me in the way in which I read. But now reading it with my daughter, like she doesn't know how comic books necessarily work. She doesn't know that you go panel to panel and like the order in which you're
Yeah.
supposed to go. So for her to see it, she sees the whole page. She's not limited by the story within a specific panel. Like she's not stuck at like, all right, they said this in this panel, they said this in this panel, like we're going through an order. She sees it as, the whole page is the story. So like she's able to go, top, bottom, bottom, top, and analyze like the whole picture and say, all right, like I'm getting all of the information. I'll read it to her in the order that it's supposed to go in, but she's able to take in then that visual information without the restriction of, well, this is only kept in this box, this is only kept in this box.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, as like a reader, a long time reader, you try to almost just focus on like one panel at a time. Don't spoil it for yourself. Don't look over here. It's like, I mean, everybody does, and especially if there's a big, bold, eye-catching image on the next page, obviously it's going to draw your eye when you flip that page, but you try to kind of almost stay that way. But yeah, kids have a completely different, especially moving
Whereas
from children's books to comic books, where it's like children's books, they look at the entire big spread.
right.
Exactly.
I have almost been trying to train myself to read more like your daughter does, though, because I find that there's such an appreciation of, okay, I'm taking in this whole story and now I'm going to zoom. I mean, it's one of the things that I love about reading panel by panel, as long, or like digitally, panel by panel, as long as it's one of those that you can set up to show you the whole page, go panel by panel, show you the whole page again, is like, I'll look at that whole page and like actually try actively to look at it without reading the words. And then I'll read the words as I go panel by panel, and then I'll take it all in again. And like that's where I start noticing all of the little things that contribute to the story. I mean, the wizardry of comic artists is the things that you don't see, but you feel in your reading.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You,
Yeah, I
you
think
know, you don't see it until you're looking for it.
yeah, I think that was
But when
one.
you see it, it's like, oh, that's why I felt like that.
Yeah, it all adds up. It's like there can be music playing softly in the background of a movie, and it's like you're not fully, you're more aware of the acting and the speech, but it's like it's all happening, it's all being factored in your mind on some level. Same thing for comics for sure.
Yeah.
How
I
would
would
you
almost say more so.
Yeah.
as like you're both like the author and the artist, so like being able to like write and then depict what it is that you're writing, because most of the time you have like the author and then you have the illustrator, you have the author and you have the artist, and it's
Mhm.
like up to that like teamwork to like show what it is that my words are trying to say. Like how is it for you to be able to explain it visually with the words that you're also writing?
Yeah, I think hopefully it's a bit more seamless when it's from one creator, because you're trying to kind of not do that old school Stanley thing or whatever, where it's like,
Marvel method.
yeah, well, just where it's like the words are describing what's going on in the panel, and it's like unnecessary, like Spider-Man's jumping from a building, and a thought bubble goes, I'm jumping from one building to the next, and there's no need to like double up on that.
You mean you don't need to tell me that you're going to use your karate chop?
Yeah, I better use my karate chop now. Yeah, like as they're like literally karate chopping this. It's like, yeah, you're trying to have it work on two different tracks, where it's like the images are revealing one thing, the text is revealing something else, or they're in opposition to each other, where it's like someone's saying like, I'm so happy for you, and then you're drawing the picture of the face like gritting their teeth but trying to smile. You know what I mean? Like just kind of having them work off of each other rather than just both of them doing the same job. And also, yeah, for me, it's nice to be able to, I kind of script it out for myself, but I just scribble it on pieces of paper. I just kind of write out the script for myself, and I don't have to type it up for anybody. And sometimes I'll do a thumbnail of what I want in there if it's too much of a pain to kind of write out what's happening in the panel. Or like it's like some things I don't need to explain to myself. Some things I I get it. I'll just be like close up, Jin, sad, whatever, and like I don't need to
And
zoom.
just say, Wes, you know what to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do you write your story out first and then add the images, or do you have the imagery in your head and then you're writing the story to go along with that?
I usually do both depending on if it's dialogue heavy scene, if it's let's say Razel talking to Jin or something like that, and they're having a deep conversation about magic or whatever, it's like I'll do the text first and then I'll just kind of try to figure out, well, what's something interesting they could be doing, but not too distracting or whatever. And if it's a big fight or something like that, or a chase scene or whatever the case may be, I beat out the actions of the panel, what has to happen per page, and then the dialogue is generally, in those things I don't do too much. I was kind of, it's one of those pet peeves. I don't like when people talk too much during fights or chases. It's like, well, no one really talks unless they only say what has to be said. If someone says like faster to their horse or whatever, just go faster. Like they're not going to be doing some big soliloquy. And if it's like Jin's narration over top, it's like that's also kind of detached too. It's not like he's narrating as the action's happening. So it's like I can kind of just do the action and then I'll think about, okay, well, what would Jin say here to kind of add to what's happening. So yeah, it depends on the scene.
And do you work digitally, traditionally? How do you?
Everything's traditional. I keep
Okay.
trying. I mean, no, there's like some coloring stuff that I do digitally, but I color some of the colors. The covers. I color. Jason Wardy's the colors for the series, and he's done some of the covers, but I've probably colored, especially more recently, I've colored most of them. I just have a very specific idea for what I want on that front image that everyone looks at. Jason's amazing, like just it just adds so much to the comic book, but when it comes to the cover, sometimes I have things that are a bit more flat or a bit more graphic or whatever, that it's almost, sometimes it's like hard for me to describe, so I just do it myself. But yeah, yeah.
So when you pencil a page, I'm just thinking about it now because that means that Jason's the one that's actually delineating the panel boxes for the most part, or are you
I have it in
drawing them in to be erased?
Yeah, I have like a template in Photoshop where it's like
Okay.
I scan the watercolor inked pages in, and then I kind of slip those in, and there's like a template kind of resting over top of it, and I just kind of mark out. I don't know, it's hard to describe really, but it has the basic 4x3 grid that like
Okay.
it's kind of the grid. If you notice, there's generally it's
Right.
up like 4 tiers on Kaya. So
Right.
there's 4x3 grid. So I just like I erase basically the panel borders that I don't need, and slip the page in there and then send it to Jason to work his magic.
So wait a minute. Did you say that you're watercoloring and then he's doing color over that?
Yeah, there's like a mid-tone kind of watercolor, which I could like send you an image of that. That's actually on the YouTube channel. That's mostly what I'm doing. It's like this blue stuff that I'm adding to the page.
Okay.
And the reason I use this blue colored ink is when I scan it in, I scan it at grayscale, and it gives me a nice kind of 50% gray that's not too dark, not too light.
Okay.
It
Oh, I'm
allows
seeing it now.
Jason to kind of separate them out from the inks, from the black inks and stuff. So I give him that, and then he does his colors over top, and kind of, it's all to give it that kind of like Deadly Class to me was like 1980s punk rock posters, David Mazzucchelli, Love and Rockets, very stark black and white type of stuff, Alex Toth,
Right.
that tradition. And like when I think of fantasy, I think of, Frank Frazetta and the European, Mobius, the European stuff, and
Right.
things like that.
Right.
I wanted to have more of a lush, painterly kind of a feel. So it's a combination of me and Jason working together.
That's super cool. And
It is pretty
I
cool.
never would have picked that up
Yeah, it
if
adds
you
a lot.
hadn't just mentioned it there.
Yeah, it adds a lot for sure. I think it gives a cool look, and I find we work really well together. It's one of those things. If you ever wanted to leave the series, I'd be like, "What do I got to do to not have you leave, please?" I can't anybody else coloring it right now.
Yeah. It Well, and you're right. It does. It works so you work so well together.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
enough so that I like I'm surprised every time when I read the front page and like it's like, oh yeah, Wes isn't doing colors because it feels like the type of book that the artist is doing everything but letters. Add to that his name's wordy, and like if it weren't for the fact that I know Tom Napolitano is a
Yeah.
letterer, I'd be sitting there going, of course, this is the artist and the letterer, and it's like, oh wait, there's another name there, and it's a
Yeah,
letterer.
sure. Sure. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's as seamless as possible. That's always the best comics to me,
Yeah.
where the creative team is on the same page and not fighting again, the same type of thing, not fighting against each other, like they're all kind of pulling in the same direction, hopefully. It feels that way for Kaya.
I definitely, reading it, like taking like everything in. It's done beautifully. Like the artwork in itself is done beautifully. The coloring is done beautifully. Like everything just it flows so well together, like with the story. When we first started reading it, like the next day, my daughter goes downstairs and she's very into like art right now. Like, give her a pad of paper, give her color pencils, crayons, paint, like she will just go to town. Like she just
Yeah.
loves it. And so she was cutting up she took out all the Kleenex out of a Kleenex box and she's cutting it up. And I'm like, what are you doing? Because you just never really know what she's doing.
Sure. Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm gonna make an arm like Kaya. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, do you need help? Do you need anything? She's like, no, I got it. And so, for the day, because it only lasted a day because it was made out of a Kleenex box,
Hmm.
she ran around with, her robot arm.
Oh, very cool. I love it. I'd love to see that one day at a
It's
convention, a Kaya cosplay,
she she loved it. Like she loved like creating it. She loved building it. She modeled it after, what she was seeing.
Mhm.
And that's what I love so much about it because I've, like we've read like, the Tinkerbell books and like the Disney Princess books and like Ghost Spider, Spidey and His Amazing Friends, like Miss Marvel. We've read all those, but there was something about Kaya that she kind of really gravitated towards. And like she does have a younger brother who, is annoying to her and
Yeah, sure.
it's so funny to see the way that, Jin is like, when he's whining and he's like crying about something and she's like, Jin, like, stop, like, knock it off. She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, she's like, that's like me and Tommy. And I'm like, it kind of is. Like, you're right.
So
Yeah.
Wes, the next time you're in Chicago for a con, you got to let them know in advance. They'll get their cosplay ready. It'll even be size appropriate.
Oh,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
absolutely would be. I would love to.
Little red mohawk going, you're there.
Oh, he would love that. He'd have no problem with that. But it was just it's such a good read to read with her because she does, you know, Spidey and his amazing friends have like the power of three and the power of friendship and like how do we deal with our emotions? Like the Hulk gets angry and he takes a deep breath, um,
Yeah, yeah.
which is like which is great like for young readers to have, but having something that they can read that kind of delves into more deeper like emotions versus like, hey, like this is like victory, this is triumph, but this is also, sometimes they don't succeed. Sometimes Jin gets kidnapped. Sometimes,
Yeah.
it's such a different read to read with her than like
Well,
in your face moral like this is,
it's not a quiz.
no.
It's not,
Yeah.
oh, what are Spidey and his amazing friends doing today? It's let's go on this story and kids can, I mean, I sometimes think of it as the Disneyfication of the world because, like, read all the grim fairy tales that they've made into movies, and it's like, oh, no, people died before, and they were
Mhm.
still kid stories.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
They
Yeah,
weren't adult stories turned into kid stories.
yeah, that's an important thing. I think when I was a kid, two things that I read, I loved Teen Titans was like Marv Wolfman, George Perez Teen Titans was like my first comic that I I read a bunch before that. That's the first one that got me digging in the crates, trying to complete my collection kind of thing. Like, oh, this guy's like the best artist ever. And the stories. And the other thing was this anime, like Robotech. It's like Macross and stuff, but Robotech is the first like animation that I was just obsessed with this thing. And I think both of them, you know, I read them now and I'm like, you can't really necessarily read them the same way as an adult. But at the time, at my age, it was just slightly above my reading level. And I just felt like I felt very mature and cool reading them because I felt like they're not speaking down to me. There's like Nightwing lives with Starfire. They like, you know, they're not married or whatever, like these adult situations and stuff. And in Robotech, I was like, there's main characters getting killed, and like this is for real. And none of it scarred me or shocked me, or you know, like it wasn't like, you know, there's other comic books that I read at the time that definitely scarred me that I wasn't ready for, but like those just felt really like they're not talking down to me, they're treating me like a real person. And I think that's probably important as for a young reader, for sure, not to just have the moral lessons, but to feel like you're in this trying to, you know, I try to make them as, it's hard to again bring yourself to the level of that age and remember what it's like at the age of Kaya or of Jin, but it's like I do my best to try to make them as real as I can. You know, I have two kids now, which makes it way easier. When I first started this series, when I was first coming up with the series, I should say, I had no kids, and it's that made it a little bit difficult to kind of throw myself back to that time. But yeah, I remember when I was developing it, I was like, well, what is it like for a kid? And just remembering there's just so many secrets, like you're in a world of secrets because adult, they're not even necessarily secrets, but you're just not, there's so many things that
You just
parents
don't
are
know.
from you and you don't know, and what's in that shelf, what's in that shelf that I'm not supposed to look in, or you know, like things that are up high, too high for you to reach. It's like so many like unknowns, you know. So it's like trying to tap into that kind of that and a bunch of other things that I thought of. And now, again, now it's much easier because I get to see my kids, and that room. I definitely put a few of those when there was one specific Jin temper tantrum where he was just repeating the same word over and over again, and I was like, yeah, no offense, kid, but that definitely came from when you freaked out, you know, a while back. He had a bit of a blow up, and I was like, okay, that's what it looks like. I'm gonna put that in my comic.
I think it was the first book where he's like, I'm so hungry. Like,
Yeah,
I'm so hungry. And I'm like, I've heard this.
yeah,
Like, you guys, like, this, it's so like relatable. And then,
yeah.
she's like, I like, we'll find something to eat. Like, but I'm so hungry. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's part of it. That's the thing too, is that it's like she's a kid, but she's kind of a mom at the same time. They're just because there is no other parent, and she just is the older sister, so she kind of doesn't have much choice but to listen to this kid's whining. And hopefully over time, it's like Shin becomes more, he learns a lot of lessons, you know, but I was like, it'd be a good place to start with him being, I can say this now because it's like we're pretty like halfway into the series. I feel like he's Kaya's like, I made her kind of like Conan. Like I thought of her as a pint-sized Conan, where it's like she doesn't really change too much. She only says what needs to be said. She's just pretty hardcore, classic tomboy, kind of like just, you know, like not about any drama, just get the mission done kind of thing. And Jin starts off, you know, he's a spoiled prince, but it's like, of course, in this tough world, he's going to learn a lot of lessons along the way. So I feel like he's the one who kind of changes over time, you know. Kaya has some changes that are pretty dramatic, but they're very few and far between, whereas Jin is like always learning something as he goes, you know.
mhm. Yeah. I guess the way that I'm reading is like they're both growing, but they're both growing differently and into the people like they need to be, or like at
Yeah.
least the way like the world is kind of shaping them to which they have to be.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a little bit of like, um, I thought of it originally. I think it's like there's this, you know, the stereotypical savior story. It's like been done so many times, and I was like, well, this is kind of, you know, he's the chosen one, blah blah. It's like it's this story, and I was like, that story has been done a lot, and how can I make this different than yet another like chosen one story? And certain, of course, certain aspects are just like they are similar to other stories, but one thing is, I thought of it um like a lot of the chosen ones, there's an aspect. It's like whatever. Let's say Jesus or something. It's like he's raised by peasants, but he's the son of God. King Arthur is the king of England, but he's raised, he's taken away from his royal family and he's raised as again, like a peasant or a farmer. And then he finds out that he's actually the king of England. And like, these are like,
he's raised, Greek
yeah,
demigod, raised by like the regular people.
yeah, always a similar type of thing where it's like for them to achieve it, they have to know what it's like to be a normal person, but then also they have this like royal or religious or whatever. Sorry, it's my dog. A bigger kind of thing that they have to achieve. And for me, I was kind of like, well, what, like Jin is that royalty character, like Moses or whatever. Hold on, I'm going to close the door so my dog doesn't distract me. Sorry, but yeah, like Jin is kind of that royal character, and Kaya is that salt of the earth kind of character. Like it's like the chosen one kind of split into two characters for me in a way. And it's like, and like you said, like they both learn from each other and they're shaped by everything around them, but also they're hopefully teaching each other along this road, and that'll help them achieve.
At least for a while, there's ambiguity about which one's the chosen one.
Yeah, well, there's that too, but we'll see where that goes.
Um, because and I think that's an interesting element because it like they're siblings and they care for each other like siblings, but like Kaya's got a chip on her shoulder and with good reason.
Yeah,
And Jin is initially pretty full of himself until he's got to have his bacon pulled out of the fire a few times, and he starts to like go, oh wait, uh, maybe just because I'm the chosen one doesn't mean that my sister doesn't know some stuff.
yeah, for sure. And it's also like, yeah, just thinking like, what would that be like where on a more I guess like looking at real life versions where just being raised in that way where you have to achieve something, whether it be like a Tiger Woods or Serena Williams or like I don't know,
Right.
I'm trying to think of other Michael Jackson or something being, like you're the main, you're or a child star, like having that pressure on you where like you have to be this thing. It's just yeah, I find that kind of interesting. Like what would that do to warp kind of a child's perspective? And it's like he has some of that. He's a prince. He's gonna save the world. He's gonna, like, and then it's kind of like brushed up against or pushed into reality and seeing that it's not as simple as that, find that fascinating.
So
It's been a go.
I had I let Bella know that I would be speaking with you today, and I was like, "Do you have any questions that you want me to ask?"
Yeah.
And she did have two questions. Um, who was your like inspiration for Kaya? She didn't say inspiration because again, she's 5. She doesn't know that.
Sure.
But like who is Kaya? And then her second question was why does she have a dumb brother?
Uh, why does she have a dumb brother? I don't know the answer to that one.
I think the professional note here is Jin was unnecessary to the story, and it'd be better if we just had the kick-ass Kaya.
Yeah, exactly. Kaya, in terms of who Kaya is, Kaya comes from like every tough tomboy that I knew growing up. That would be kind of like I'd be fascinated by, but also like I'm sure at certain points in my life, like as a little kid, like kind of intimidated by. Um, Specifically, it's I don't know, yeah, it's like there's 2 or 3 people, especially in my as a little kid and as a teenager that I would like hang around these tough girls, and it would just be kind of like, and that's again what it is, thinking of all these people from my childhood and teen years and kind of like figuring like seeing what they all have in common. It's like because what are the common threads of this type of person, and like trying to put that into Kaya. Um, and for why does she have a dumb brother? Um, I don't know. If she didn't have that, she'd just be hunting with her Uncle Kova all day, and life would be kind of, she wouldn't want to admit it. That's all she probably thinks she wants to do. But, life is pretty exciting with her brother having this whole thing that she's been forced into. She's gonna have some good stories by the end of it, I guess.
I mean, it does add a dimension to her character. You know, that mentor, teacher, caregiver wouldn't necessarily be there without somebody to mentor, teacher, caregive.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I don't know. I've never really thought about it exactly, like done like a thought experiment of like, well, what if none of that happened and she would just be Kahaka, their home.
Leave it to the 5-year-old to ask the obvious question.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, exactly. It's like I don't want to say I've got a pretty good idea on relatively where it's going to end. I've got it, like I was saying, I've got it pretty in terms of the major beats, I have it figured out because that was a very daunting thing for me. I've never done an ongoing series that I've written. Like obviously like Rick Remender is the writer of Deadly Class, and I think he had a general idea for that series on where he's going to go, but he left a lot of room open. But he's done a lot of continuing series. I've never done a continuing series just on my own, so I was like, I need to have it pretty figured out, or else it's going to be an anxiety attack every month trying to figure out where they're going to go and if I'm making the right decision and stuff. So obviously I'll leave myself room to grow and move the story as needs be. But generally speaking, I if it changes, fine. If I have a better idea, fine. But if I stick to the plot that I have set up, I'll still be happy with where we land, you know? And yeah, I don't want to give anything away. There's been a few issues where we pop into the future, so you see some of what happens to Kai.
Yep.
We don't say exactly how she got there. Hopefully that's the interest of it, is what else happened in between the main story and what we see of her in the future. Which is also a bit of a nod to Conan, where it's like there's like Conan the King, and then they jump around through Conan's history and show him as a young man or as a buccaneer all over the place. I kind of wanted to do that, but I felt again like that was a bit too daunting to do. So I figured I should just do it as A to B to C kind of story. But I also wanted to play around with like jumping into the future once in a while and the past. So yeah, she'll be the person she's meant to be at the end of it. That sounds like a weird thing to say. I just don't want to give anything away besides what I've already
No,
shown in
no.
the comic. But yeah, she needs this experience to become who she's going to become.
Talk to me about letting other people play in your universe. I've really enjoyed Judy Baugh and Jesse Lonergan and Gabriel Walta. You know, what guidelines do you give them? Like to how does it feel to have somebody else play with your toys?
That's a fun one. That's like one of the most fun aspects, I think, is doing those every few. It's like in between each arc, I do a
Right.
standalone issue, right, with 15 pages, which one of the reasons I did that is just to help me with deadlines, where it's like I only have
Hmm.
15-ish pages of that issue and then 5 pages or so, 5, 6, whatever pages by somebody else. But also it just lets me contact like some of my favorite creators and just see like, would you like to draw my character? Because that's a blast. And I have something coming up. I haven't really talked about it yet, but there's a Kaya special coming up in a few months from now, and that's gonna be that, but kind of a bigger version.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that'll be.
Nice.
I got a bunch of different artists, and they're all killers, and yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm seeing that coming in right now, and yeah, it's going to be very cool. But and part of that is just a reaction to how people seem to really enjoy these little 5-page stories by different creators. And what I give them, another aspect that's really fun about that is the script that I give them is kind of a choose your own adventure script, where it's like this has to happen, this like on each page there's a certain amount of things that have to happen, but it's, let's say, like on page 2 I'll be like Kaya is getting, or Kaya and Jin, if you want to, they're getting chased by, and then I kind of just give them like, what do you want, what do you like to draw? A giant robot, a monster, a tornado, like whatever threat you feel like drawing, whatever you think you would get the biggest kick out of. Because if you'll look at each of the 5-page stories from different creators, it's kind of, there's a certain amount of similarity between each of them. It's like an Indiana Jones kind of, they're on the run, something's
Right.
chasing, she has something, and it's, so I give them those basics and then I just let them go like, she has a treasure, or she has a computer, or she has an orb, or she has a, whatever, like, again, whatever you feel like drawing and whatever you think would excite you. And I think that's kind of fun because I've had a lot pretty much everyone who's worked on it has told me that that was a lot of fun to kind of have that room to play around, you know, and hopefully that allows them to bring their best work when they're excited to draw what they want to draw and not be
Yeah.
too controlling as the writer, you know.
So you do still script it some. It's not you give them
Yeah.
all of the okay.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
script and it's almost like panel one, like Kaya is on the run through a maze, and panel two at her back is, and then I'll kind of give them a selection of different things that they can go with, you know,
Okay.
like I said, like monster, robot.
So is it actually the same script for each of them
It
with the
is, yeah.
choose your Oh wow. I hope you share that sometime as like back
Yeah,
matter
yeah.
in something.
That's the
Not
thing.
too soon.
Yeah, it hasn't built up in 5 pagers. It's like it hasn't built up enough to make its own thing yet, but I'm trying to figure
Right.
out what I'm gonna, because eventually I'll put that out as in some combined format. And
Right.
it's just, I just need quite a few more 5 pagers to make it worth something to put out there.
Because I'm definitely always fascinated by, it's been done a few times and I don't have enough of them, but like those situations where you have one script that's given to like three or four different people and how it works out differently.
Yeah, it's fascinating to
Um,
see the different choices that people make too, you know, just
right.
like what they think would make the most entertaining story. So yeah, no, that would have, I was thinking maybe I would put out a separate trade paperback of like at the end of the series, like all the 5 pages.
Right.
And I never put the variant covers. I do one variant cover per issue, and I never put those in the trade paperback. So I was like,
Right.
okay, so all the variants, all the 5 page stories, the script that I give all the artists, and I don't know, just
You
have
should also put blank
of
pages.
like the other stuff that we do
You should
inside.
put the script followed by blank pages. So if people want to do their own version, they can do it right in the book.
That would be awesome. All right, I'm stealing. All
You can have it.
right, great. Yeah.
Plug the podcast in small print at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you to 22 panels. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I just like it's another thing that I haven't seen a ton lately, but I hear about from creators sometimes is like Marvel used to send out a book that you could buy at the shop that was like, here's a story, draw it, here's pages to ink, here's pages to letter, here's here's an idea, write a script, and you could send that in, and occasionally somebody would even get hired for something. Most famously, I think Mark
Just
Bagley
Mark Bagley. Yeah.
was hired through one of those.
Yeah.
Um, but like, I mean,
Good idea.
eh,
Yeah, I'm gonna think about that today.
I mean, it just, I mean, going full circle back to talking Dave Pilkey at the beginning, one of the things that makes the Dog Band books work isn't just they're fun and funny and talk to kids at their level, but without talking down to them. It's that it's like, hey, you've got an idea, let's make a comic together.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, great.
Here's some pages. Draw in your book.
Yeah, yeah, that would be awesome. I think I should just put that out there in some format where I can just be like, yeah, maybe I'll put that in the next in between issue and be like, do whatever you want to do. And in the next in between issue, like after this one, maybe I'll put out a
Right.
bunch of 5 pagers by the kids and see what they come up, or at whatever age and see
Yeah.
what that would be.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that because that's something that I do like therapeutically, like with the kids that I work with. Like we talk a lot about comics, like integrating comics into like mental health and practice. And so what I'll do is I'll print out just like a little, page, and it's got like, 5 or 6 panels in it. And then, we go through, we develop a story. So like, who's your protagonist? Who's your antagonist? What is the problem? How does the protagonist solve the problem? Like, what do they do after? Like, who do they change into? Like, we basically like develop a story, and then like, thinking about it like as a clinician, then I interpret like, all right, who is their, hero? Who is their villain? Like, what special things do they do, like, in order to defeat the villain? But then I actually have them draw it into like comic book panels. So, like, and say like, all right, well, start with this one. How would you show this? And then like we move through the story, and either the stuff that they come up with, because they're like creating their own story, or like, they've read a story that then they just want to integrate into their own kind of
Yeah,
drawings,
that's what I've seen a lot of. Yeah.
you know, they really come up with like these really great examples where it's like, well, that wasn't written like in our game plan. Like, how did it end up on the page? Like, because when
Mhm.
you're drawing something, it's so much different than like when I'm writing it, because it's just so much more of like a exploration and like being able to actually draw it out versus just saying it outward, like
Yeah.
out loud. It gives them
Yeah.
some more freedom of expression.
Yeah, for sure. Filling the panel kind of leads to different opportunities that you didn't see coming, I guess, especially at that age when it's kind of like, yeah, you don't have a million rules in your head. It's just kind of like pulling
Mm-hmm.
whatever stuff inspires you, you know? Yeah, yeah, I find that interesting too. I do some comics with my kids. They that's one thing that they don't want me to read Kaya to them right now, but they are into sitting down with me, and that's the best though. It's like kind of like, what do you want to do? Like, just don't worry about that. I just want it's one of those ones I want to be supportive of them in whatever they want to do, but it's like because I do the drawing thing so much, I'm like, well, obviously I have more to offer in certain,
Like,
like
no, 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 the eyes go here.
yeah, like it's like I won't be so good to teach you how to. It's like you got to go to your uncle to learn how to like throw a football and stuff. But if you want to learn how to draw a picture, I mean, my brother can do that too, actually. But he started
Yeah.
drawing when he was a kid, and that's why I draw. But
You put out the series with him.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, his series Starstorm. But he's always been more of a sports guy. Like our father is more of a sports guy. So it's like you can do the sports stuff and I'll do some I can kick the soccer ball around, but there's certain things I'm just not good at. But if you want to sit down here and draw, then it's like I can do that with you all day if you want to, you know. So yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
end up drawing comics together. And again, yeah, it's like fascinating to see, like you said, just seeing their minds and unrestricted kind of imagination that children have. It's fun to see and also just educational as an adult to be able to be like, oh yeah, maybe I don't need to do that rule or this rule or break yourself out of some of your own patterns as an adult. I find it's fascinating, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, then, like, you know, like I said, like she's got, you know, her crayons, her color pencils, her paints, and like, you know, then she's trying to find a like a specific color. She's like, I don't like, and then she can't tell me what color it is that she's trying to figure out. And so I'm like, I don't know what to give you to help you like with this color. So I'm like,
Oh, we need to bring Kelly down.
oh, she does like
My
a
my
medium, and she'll
my
start like
my
painting.
my wife is the queen of color. Her
Yeah.
favorite project to do with her students is the color wheel. She can teach
Oh,
her all about creating her
she's
own colors.
she's got like, yeah, red and blue make purple and yellow, and like she
Yeah,
like
but she'll
those,
also get into add white, add
yeah. We've slowly been working on that where it's like, all right, we'll add a little bit of white, or like, you know, you can
Right.
add a little bit of yellow. And but you know, she's watching her like create it, because you know she's
Yeah.
trying to find the perfect color to go on this panel. You
Yeah.
know, she's putting paint down first, and then she'll put like, you know, crayon on top of it, and she's like, no, that wasn't it. And like then, you know, then she'll put the crayon, and then she'll do a color pencil, or like vice versa. So it's fun being able to like read comics with her, because she does have that like example of it, but then she's able to use that in other like forms of like her own creative expression, and say like, you know, well, if the Kaya doesn't have panels, like it's just all over the page, then why can't I like also be all over the page and tell the story? And I'm like, yeah, like you're totally right. Like do it however you do. You just want a blank piece of paper? I'll just give you a blank piece of paper. Like do whatever you've got to do to explore that, like, you know, unconscious, subconscious kind of thing that you're trying to explain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you picked up for her yet? And Wes, your kids might like this too. The new Raina Telgemeier, Scott McCloud book, Cartoonist Club.
No.
It's
Yeah.
it, it's like understanding comics
Mhm.
for kids with a friendship story woven on top of it.
Man, very cool. Yeah, I got excited when I saw that. I was like, oh wow, that's going to be interesting to.
Mhm.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite books of the year
Oh
already.
wow, cool. Yeah, I'll check
I
that out.
mean, I cannot recommend it enough, and I almost hate that I bought it at a major chain box store rather than a comic shop, but I haven't actually seen it in a comic shop yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you guys not know the best-selling books in the...
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like how this would obviously appeal to like across generations and genders and everything else. Yeah, for
There
sure.
are there are a handful of comics that are or comic shops that are really good at having a kid selection. I don't want to bash all comic shops everywhere, but the one place that the most comic specialty shops haven't figured out is like kids graphic novels. You know, they'll
Yeah.
have the kids floppies, and most of the kids don't care about the floppies. They want their bigger book.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
and half of the kids floppies aren't as geared towards the kids anymore.
no,
And
not. It's like, I mean, once in a while, yeah, there's certain things I appreciate it so much when I see, I don't know, like Mark Waid and Dan Mora doing Justice League, where they make it kind of like if you saw the any kind of cartoon version of the Justice League, you'll basically understand like what's going on in this place. Like I appreciate that a lot. When you get so bogged down in continuity, I guess that happened. I guess like issue number whatever of Teen Titans that I picked up when I was a kid. It's probably did, it was in the middle of a storyline, and if you're into it, you're into it, and then you get to go back and find more of them. But yeah, it's nice to have that kind of anyone can jump on here kind of thing where there's nothing. I don't know, the superhero stuff when it gets a bit too graphic or too this or that. I'm kind of
yeah,
like,
well, I was even thinking a
thing.
lot
You
of
can have
the
that in a side world. You can have back in my day, you can have Dark Knight Returns or Killing Joke in their own world, but it's like when
right,
everything's Killing Joke in Dark Knight, it's like
yeah.
not great, really.
But I was even thinking of a lot of the like licensed uh, cartoon stuff
Hmm.
is so much more nostalgia for you and me than actually writing it so that our kids can read it and enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I have to
You
say
know,
too, like my gripe as a parent is that comic books cost like $4 or $5 a comic book.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then, for me to buy a comic book, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna treat it right, I'm gonna read it, and then I'll put it away. But for them, it's like, where is it? Where
right.
put it?
Or you can spend $12 and get 200 pages
Hmm.
of Raina or Dav Pilkey
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and harder to tear apart because it's the perfect bound, not the stapled. And
Yeah,
Exactly.
sure. I mean, the single issues are good for if they're at the right price where they're not too expensive. They're so good for sampling. It's like
yeah.
check out a song, and if you like it, you buy the album. But it's like
Hmm.
it's that kind of a thing. I wish that there was more of an acceptance of black and white just to bring the price
Hmm.
down. Things
Yep.
like just they're so much cheaper to print if they're in black and white. Everyone just goes, no one, they won't read it if it's in black and white. And I'm like, how many Walking Deads and manga and a million manga do there have to be in the
Hmm.
world for us to go like, I
Hmm.
think it's okay to be black?
Well, and if you're doing kids stories, you could give coloring guidelines and have it be one part comic, one part coloring book.
Oh, Bella
Yeah,
would love that.
yeah, that would be
I
Yeah.
pretty.
would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just the price for sure. It's like I wish that
I
could.
mean, I don't want to put colorists out of business because I
No,
love my colorists,
But it's
no.
but
but it's also getting like younger audiences to enjoy
right.
reading comic books, and it's grabbing them kind of at their point. Like my son will not pick up a crayon to save his life.
Yeah,
Like he just won't do it. But he's also not he likes superheroes. He does not care for superhero literature. But he's also 4, almost 5. So
yeah. Those
he likes
things.
Cats and Underpants. He likes Dogman.
Yeah,
He likes the Teen Titans Go, like the comics, because Robin is like farting all over the place. Like
The
yeah,
ones that are written for him is
right.
what you're saying.
He,
Yeah.
he likes that, but to see if he
Which
actually,
means he's probably not far from liking Kaya.
yeah.
but
He'll like Jin more, and that'll
yeah,
drive your daughter up the wall.
the only it's funny. This is the only one I've gotten him to be able to sit and read, and it's not even a comic, but it's just like the superhero readers.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll sit for this, and that's about as much as we've gotten thus far.
Yeah.
But having something that would be more, so bringing in those like younger audiences that if you want to start reading comics, because I love going to the comic shop and picking stuff up. Like me and my husband, like we're frequent comic shop
Mhm.
I've
stoppers.
seen them spend. You
Originally,
want them to get to know your comic shop.
oh, ridiculous amount. But we go there with the kids, and it's like, all right, we can pick up, I can pick you up a comic that I know you're probably going to lose, or like I'm going to take it from you. So are you really even going to read that comic?
Well, I've seen them at shows where it's like you can have 5 comics or one toy. One toy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then they can
20
have
comics or
their own
one toy. One
adventures.
toy.
One toy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I'd love there to be, I mean, they don't have, like you said, it's like, well, whatever cheapest way to do it there is, whether it be black and white or finding cheaper printers or whatever it is, or making big phone books like Shonen Jump where there's a whole bunch of Marvel or DC or whatever characters in there that for a relatively cheap price. It's like the comic itself doesn't, it's like it's become it's like fetishized where everything has to be
Yeah.
the nicest paper and the nicest this
Yeah.
and that.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I mean, to each his own, but like for me, I'm like, save that for the collection, like make the collection nice.
Mm-hmm.
But the single issues, they were made to be disposable sounds wrong because it's not to be disposable, but it's like they are samplers, they are
Right.
final
They were meant to be read.
version, and it's like just try things out. When I was a kid and before that time, I had this like book on like Jim Steranko where he was doing stuff for the Marvel Fanfare comic, or I'm not sure if it was called Fanfare, but it was like the fan comic, and there was all kinds of ideas for like like becoming part of the Marvel group and decode this message and just mazes and all kinds of like fun little games for kids and stuff. And I was like, I'd love to do that one day, where there's
That's
just
another thing
more
that you could
interactive
do.
experience for the reader.
That's another thing that you could pretty easily fit into Kaya.
Yeah, for
Have the Kaya games and puzzles issue.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's for me it's just a matter of because it's a monthly comic it's like I come up with these ideas this stuff like that and then it's kind of like okay I can do this and this but I can't do this and this and this. Like just not enough time in the month to
Well,
really
this is
make
where
a
I
maze
cross.
and like do all these other things.
This is where I think I cross my fingers for you big time for both you and the world. That what happens is you wrap up the series and discover that it sells well in those in like a digest side.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, because look at how many times Bone has been released now, and how
Mhm.
many things Jeff has been able to go back and do randomly because it always has a new audience.
Yeah,
You,
yeah. Sure. That would be
so,
great.
so,
Yeah, like
so it would be hard to do it while you're doing single issues, but once it's done and you're putting out the digest once a month, or once a year, or however often you're putting out the digest, you could also throw out the Kaya activity book.
yeah, for sure, for sure. That would be yeah.
Stickers and mazes and
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I first started, I have a book on hunting tips, this big, huge book, which I've only read a few little pieces of, just trying to get into the mind of these, not just Kaya, but her
right.
society of hunters and stuff. And it's like, I was like, one day I'll do like a book like that, where it's like a child's version of like how to make a fire and how to, I'll be teaching myself at the same time as I could teach a kid because I don't know any of this stuff.
Right.
Like, I'd be useless out there in the wilds. But I mean, I thought it was.
Go get in touch with Ben Percy or Chris Schweizer.
Oh yeah,
My joke is they're the two guys in comics that you could drop in the forest 1,000 miles from nowhere and they'd find their way out unless they decided to just build a cabin and stay.
okay. Well, maybe we'll do a collaboration or something. Who knows?
Schweizer could actually. Do you know Chris Schweizer's art at
Yeah,
all?
yeah, yeah. No, that
Sch-
would be amazing.
Schweizer would do some great stuff with
Oh, for
Kaya.
sure, for sure. He would. I don't think I ever asked him to do a cover, but yeah, I love his style. Amazing
Oh,
stuff.
I could just. I'm just thinking about him doing the 5-pager.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, like I've never asked
Yeah, yeah.
cover or probably
Well,
five
if you
page.
don't have his info, I do. Ask for it off the air.
Okay.
Because I would love to see that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Um, well, Kaya is a joy. I'm looking forward to more of your videos and Thunderhead. Um, we're gonna wrap up with my favorite closing questions. Tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but I don't really have rules.
Mhm.
Preferably storytelling, but again with the rules. But something that you love, that not enough people around you have experienced, and you would like them to, so you have more people to talk about it with.
I think the two things that I got two things that popped up most recently, and kind of the same thing I can say about both of them is FML from Dark Horse, really good. And I think it's just the creativity of the different art styles that are used and just the fun. Like it's like clearly like Kelly Sue DeConnick is writing something very personal. And I'm sorry, but is it
I'll have it in a second.
the artist? I'm totally blanking on the artist's name. He's so good.
David something. I'll
Is
have it in a second
um,
because
but
I
yeah,
have them all downloaded. Kelly Sue will be on the show next week.
okay, cool.
Talk
Well,
about FML,
I think it's awesome. Yeah, it's just
which
such a
which
cool world.
I also
So
adore.
creatively, like just trying different cartoony styles and realistic and just everything.
Yeah.
That one and Assorted Crisis Events
Oh,
image.
another favorite of mine
Yeah,
is
for
Kelly
similar reasons,
just
just experiments, like just trying new things each issue. I'm a big fan of like Twilight Zone and stuff. So it's like
Mhm.
done in one, or Black Mirror. It's not like those, but it's that same kind of idea of a done in one story. There's a beginning,
Right.
middle, and ending. Each story feels like I put it down and I got to think about it for a while, which is my favorite thing. It's not just like cheap entertainment. Oh, that was fun, but now on with the rest of my day. It's like I'll be walking my dog and be like, it'll be stuck in my head for a week or two after that. So I'm like, that's like ideal for me, for my taste. That's like ideal comics, and what they do with the colors and a different a different problem to solve each time from Dennis Kemp's perspective. Like, yeah, just
Right.
cool thing. Very cool. Those are two that really jumped out recently as like these guys are really giving it.
Oh yeah. No, those are two of my favorite books on the stand right now. So I will talk to you about those anytime you want.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Assorted Crisis Events. Actually, that and Absolute Martian Manhunter
Yeah,
from
he's killing
from
it. Yeah.
Dennis have been coming out the same week. So it's like, oh yeah, yeah. Dennis just takes my top spot this week because
Yeah, me too. He's just pushing in a direction that I appreciate. He's really like
right.
pushing the limits to a certain degree, and I like to see that. I liked it in 20th Century Men, and everything
Mhm.
he's done since then has been really like it's cool to see him progress and just get better and better. Yeah,
I will.
his fellow creators too. I shouldn't take anything
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah.
It's the creators that he chooses to work with too that make this just all of the things he's working on so appealing.
I will toss out for you and for anybody listening that in that same vein of one and done stories around a little bit of a theme, Mark Russell has been doing a book at Mad Cave called Vanishing Point. And AWA has had a series of what they're calling protopias. So it's not a utopia, it's not a dystopia. It's like a positive future
Yeah.
that's also somewhat attainable. Like,
Okay.
so you kind of see the roadmap to get there through the story. It's not that they've had completely different creative teams. Mark Russell wrote the first one, but I don't even remember all, but all of them have been really fun. So I
Very cool.
think I think that the EC and Hello Darkness at Boom bringing back the anthology series kind of blew the doors open for more publishers to be willing to try things that weren't automatic 5 issue
Yeah, for
graphic
sure.
novels.
I think yeah, everyone's trying to think of decode a little bit of like what did we throw out when we just focused too much on the graphic novel or the collection.
Right,
It's like that. And
right.
a lot of that. It's like I love being able to go in there, pick up assorted crisis events, and just knowing that this is a whole story in one little issue. Like it's
So good.
so rare these days, and it's just great that you get to kind of and it doesn't there's enough stuff to chew on in each of the
Mhm.
story afterwards that you don't feel like it was just I wish it was
I don't
not.
think I ever read one
It
just
fills your
once.
mind with like, well, I wonder what that meant, and oh, that was pretty intense.
Yeah,
You really think about it afterwards, which is ideal comics for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, your taste is impeccable, which shouldn't surprise me at all. And anybody not reading FML and assorted crisis events it hasn't been listening to me shout at the top of my lungs for the last 4 months, 5 months, 6 months,
Yeah.
because they're really amazing. Wes, as always, it's a pleasure. Hopefully, we'll have you back again at some point in the future. Can't wait to see Thunderhead. The whole idea of tripping superheroes is one I'm surprised we haven't seen more of.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
But thanks for finally taking the plunge that apparently nobody else was willing to take. Uh, it's
Yeah.
kind of like everybody sitting there going, "How did we not think of Dogman?"
Yeah.
We have Batman, we have Spider-Man, we have Catwoman. How is it all of these years of superheroes and nobody thought of Dogman?
It was there right in front of you the whole time.
So for Sam and for Wes Craig, this has been 22 panels, and we will see you after the next page.